Sibling rivalry, that age-old practice of competing for mom and dad's attention that follows us into adulthood and determines the course of our lives ever after. Have you dealt with it? Let's talk about that. So, I don't know about you, but I have three older brothers, and they are significantly older than I was. So, they would do things like push me down the stairs in the laundry basket when I was little, which seems like a great idea when you're three until the laundry basket flips over and you go tumbling. So, there was always a bit of rivalry there because suddenly I was the interloper. They had their dynamic worked out between the three of them, and then here I was demanding attention. At the same time, our mother became critically ill. Because of these dynamics, as adults, I do not have the relationships that I wish I had with my brothers. It is what it is. But I've also come to recognize that even though I'm the girl and I'm supposed to be the nurturing, caregiving one, it doesn't fall to me to fix these relationships. I'm not the only person in them, therefore I'm not the only person that can fix them. It would take a concerted effort with my brothers to be able to repair the damage between us so that we could move into new patterns and new relationships. And that's basically what you have to do as adults if you've had severe sibling rivalry. You have to trash the old relationship and consciously choose to develop a new one from the perspective of adults. Most people aren't willing to do that because that takes a lot of work and a lot of introspection, and it's hard. So, what can you do if you have a contentious relationship with your siblings to try to smooth things over as adults and at least make Thanksgiving dinners something that you can both go to without, being tempted to throw mashed potatoes at each other again, like you did last year or the year before? Yeah, pre-COVID. Still, you get the point. These patterns that we develop as children follow us into adulthoods. And while it's relatively quick for one person to change a personal pattern, it gets exponentially harder with every additional person you add in. So if it's just you and one sibling, then it's probably going to take almost a year of concerted effort before both of you can get out of your old patterns and develop the new ones. I don't know about you, but I see my siblings at family funerals and that's about it. So no year of concerted effort is going to happen there, no matter how much I may wish. So what do? Well, the first thing you do when you're looking at the relationship you and your siblings had with your parents is you understand that the relationship your sibling had with your parents could be very, very different from the relationship that you had. Now, how does this play out? Well, in my case, with me, our mother was highly abusive, verbally, emotionally, and at times physically abusive. My oldest brother, who is 16 years older than I am, had a completely different relationship with her. He was her firstborn, her golden child, the one that was coddled and got everything he wanted, and did not understand why my relationship with her was so antagonistic. He did not understand that the relationship that I had and the relationship that he had were very different. Now, towards the end of our mother's life, he spent a few months alone with her and saw how her personality had changed from the woman he remembered as a child. And that's when it began to dawn on him that the relationships really were that different. That both of us, coming from such vastly different perspectives, could still be correct because of the change in our mother over the course of her very long lifetime. So once you accept that the relationship that your sibling has with your parents could be very, very different from the relationship you have, then that helps smooth over those differences in perception. You realize that just because you perceive something one way does not mean it's the way everyone perceives it. And that perception is a key component in our personal truths. If your perception is different, your personal truth will be different as well. Now, there's always going to be the sibling who felt that they had to one-up everyone, the sibling who had to be that much better than everyone else. And we all have a tendency to do this at some point in time. Some of us do it in very subtle ways. Some of us don't even realize it's happening. But that tendency for one-upmanship is there. When you start seeing that, recognize you can't change their actions. You cannot change what they're going to do. You can only change your reaction to it. So if you have a sibling who is always, well, I make $10,000 a year more than you do, don't accept the competition. Look at them and say, that is awesome. I am so thrilled for you. Let's celebrate. Because secretly, anyone who is seeking out competition from you, anyone who's trying to play one-upmanship games with you, doesn't really care so much about the competition as they care about the validation that they are special. They are seeking someone telling them, hey, you're great. So if that's what they're seeking, give it to them. Take away their desire to be competitive by giving them the one thing that they're truly searching for. Now, this works with most, but if you have a parent who eggs on the competition, then, it may be best to just try to avoid the situation to begin with. If you have a parent who is sitting there going, well, why can't you be more like your brother? Which I heard a lot. Accept that that is that parent's opinion and that you have a choice of being yourself instead of being a carbon copy of your sibling. Now, there are always going to be some siblings relationships where one side or the other just cannot let go of a past event. There is something that happened back there that was so traumatic that we can't just say, okay, it's over and move on. The only thing you can do at that point is sit down, hopefully with a counselor or a neutral third party, and have a face-to-face, heart-to-heart conversation. Let them know how much this distance between you hurts. Let them know why it hurts. Let them know that you sincerely regret whatever it is that you did they're not letting go of. And that you forgive them for anything they might have done for you. And this can be very difficult. There were some instances in my past that are very hard to move past, particularly with a sibling who has never expressed remorse for them. But forgiveness is not something I do for someone else. Forgiveness is an act I do for myself because it liberates me from the shackles of the pain and the bitterness that I was carrying with me. So, whether they apologize or not, forgive. Choose to let go of that pain. And, accept that there are going to be some people that no matter what you do, are always going to feel like they were the ones who didn't measure up to you. Just like I always heard, why can't you be more like your brother? I'm sure my brothers also heard, why can't you be more like your sister? At some point in time. And how they choose to deal with that is up to them. If they choose to allow that to become envy, that is on them. I have chosen not to be envious of anyone in my family. I have a brother who is more financially successful. I have a brother who has more connections with famous people. I have a brother who has his own successful, thriving business. I'm not envious of any of them. And I can't see any reason why any of them would choose to be envious of me. So, if you do have a sibling who can't get past the fact that you may have done better than them on the sports field, or more financially successful, or whatever, just look at them, love them, meet them as they are, and accept the fact that that is their road to walk. You cannot change how they perceive you. You cannot change their perspective of you. And if they try to make themselves feel better by cutting you down, recognize it for what it is. You cannot change their perspective of you, but they can't change your perspective of yourself unless you allow them to. Don't give them that power. And quite honestly, if you do have a sibling that you just cannot get along with no matter what, recognize that shared genetics does not make family. Family is a connection of love and trust and commitment and shared growth together, not genetics. So, if someone is not willing to meet you as family, don't let shared genetics force you into being around each other. Arrange for them to have one holiday and you to have another. Arrange for you to take separate vacations with your parents, whatever it takes. And don't feel guilty over that. The family is in your life through the heart is always going to be more important than any shared genetic family. Make sure that you are putting your focus on the family that matters, not on people who simply share your genetics if they can't share anything else. I'm Marna. Thank you for joining me, and I will see you on the next video.